How are you? Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
You invited us.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, you know, yes. Thanks for being here.
Okay, thanks everyone for coming. I'm going to call the New Hartford Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting, February 25th at 7:01 PM. If you would please join me, if you're able, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Where are we today? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next agenda item is order of business. I have no changes to the order of business. We'll move on to item C, communications to the Board of Education and public comment. So since last meeting, we did receive a couple communications from the community. I shared them with everyone. The one came from Mrs. Wilczak first, who was here. She spoke at our meeting. She did share her information with us after the meeting. So that'll be part of the record. We also received, I received through text some information from Kristen Kasiba that I also shared with the board. So that'll become part of our minutes. And the final piece came from Samantha Ward regarding budget that was shared with the entire board. So that'll also become part of our minutes for today. So I don't believe we have any additional communication to the board. Okay. Next, on a public comment. Would anybody like to address the board? All right, seeing none, we'll move right on to item number D, Superintendent's report. Superintendent Sosa.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all of our participants that are here, our leadership team, and for Lou Helt joining us from the Board of Finance. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. All right, we'll kick off with just a quick update regarding our HVAC systems. So the engineering reports have been completed, and that we need to make sure that we state that publicly today to fulfill the obligations under the Public Act to make sure that our indoor air quality is tested yearly and our HVAC systems are updated or yearly, not tested for every 5 years. So we're in compliance. We've completed all those reports. The purpose of this update is just to simply allow the public and all to know that it is posted on our website for public inspection. That includes our HVAC inspections, our tools for schools checklist, and also our indoor air quality that's reviewed briefly during our last meeting. Any questions on updates for HVAC?
On that report that Kelly Ann had sent out, they mentioned that some of our systems are fair or poor.
Mhm.
Do we have a ballpark figure, like how much it's going to cost to fix them or
Mm.
replace them or do
No,
whatever?
because those items have just arrived. So that report there's a lot of recommendations.
Okay.
So then the next steps will be to convene with our facilities team to review the report and to provide recommendations. Nothing is failing. There's a lot of recommendations in there to
Right.
consider, but nothing is something that is dangerous or out of compliance or
Okay.
anything of that
Yeah, I
nature.
didn't think that, but it just said like, they should be, we're recommending that they be replaced because
Yep.
they're at the end of their
Life cycle.
lifespan.
Mhm. Yep.
So I was just curious.
Yeah,
Okay,
nothing with imminent
Okay.
immediacy.
Thank you.
Of course.
If you don't mind, Jeff, if I can just again kick off the next item for the superintendent's proposed budget. For tonight, this is a report, right? This is for our board. This is a report out of the superintendent's proposed budget. Please ask any questions for clarification on the content, right, of what's in here, the formatting, anything like that, or what the item might be for. But again, all the questions similar to what we had done last budget season. I'd like everybody to take this. Again, it's our first read through it. Take it home, right? review it for yourself and feed questions through me. I'll compile those questions from all board members, get them over to Superintendent Sosa to be able to then take those questions, respond to all those questions, and have those available for us at our next meeting where we can review those. Right? Well, I don't think we're going to, how quickly do we need to have that done?
I could work on the weekend. So Friday would be ideal, but we have a number of times that we're going to be getting together.
Right.
So prior to March 4th is our next meeting and our budget timeline. So ideally Friday of this week, if not Monday at the latest, to provide me time to review all of the questions. Last year we had well over 100, so it does take time to go through them and make sure that I have responses to all of the questions that are proposed by our board members.
And then again, it is best when you send them over to me. Again, if you look at this budget and the format of it, each one of the items comes with a category. You know, I'm looking at technology 2400 and then a line item. Each one has a number. So if you give me those questions in that order, it makes it easier to compile them. I'll try to put everything together to make it as efficient as possible and try to eliminate any repeat questions. Good.
Fair enough. Yes.
So
Thank you.
also want the number you said?
If possible, yeah. Yep. The more clear you make it for the question you're asking, the easier it is for me to pull it all together. I mean, again, you can continue.
Awesome. Thank you.
To you.
Okay. And again, just a minute.
All right, so we'll kick off. I have our budget presentation here. All the materials that our board members, inclusive of this presentation, are available online for our view in public. So thank you so much for everyone that's logged in and viewing as we kick off the budget season of 25-26 in our preparation. There are many, many phases for new board members or those that are in the public. We'll review that timeline. The first of which is tonight's presentation to provide the information for performance for our 25-26 school year, inclusive of everything that we do, contractual salaries, healthcare, everything is here within the budget. So, but why do we do what we do every day? You can see the beautiful smiling faces that are here before us. This is exactly why. These are the heartbeat of everything that we are doing on a daily basis. So all of our students here improving their lives and providing a very important educational service to our families and to our New Hartford community. I really want to emphasize before I continue that this is a we effort. This is not just the Board of Ed in isolation. This is not the superintendent in isolation. This is not just the Board of Finance. This is everybody collectively working through this entire budget process to provide the absolute best educational opportunity for each and every one of our unique 433 students that we have this year and going forward. So today we're going to take a very high level look at some of the objectives that we want to accomplish, but also some of the drivers and assumptions. And we'll go back and forth from the presentation here, and we'll jump into very high-level categorical conversations and information within our proposed budget that is sitting there before you. So what are we doing? We're fostering friendships, as we can see here. We're also fostering wonderful experiences for our students on a daily basis, whether they're field trips or something as simple as recess. And we're providing those conditions for our kiddos. We're modeling that, and we are very, very proud of the work that we do. So much so, I'm not going to limit it to some professions, but I mean, even the pre-K students, they want to be dentists. So here they are working on their dentistry. Some are showing you their teeth, others are not, you know. They're working on it, but we are so proud, again, to offer such an expansive education for our kiddos, and pre-K being one of those beautiful highlights that we have within our district. Well, we also have entrepreneurs, we have architects, we have mechanics, we have future everything. Here you can see some of our friends smiling with their beautiful faces and some of their free play time that they have, which is so critical to creative thinking, to compromise, to social interactions, to negotiations, to being kind to their peers, to caring for others. Our mission is also very clear in terms of what we're here to do. We are partnering with our families and our community, our entire community, to inspire and prepare all children to become independent and enthusiastic learners who achieve personal excellence by providing a challenging and exemplary education program that's differentiated, inclusive, and dynamic. So our students deserve the best, and together we are absolutely committed to doing so. So here's some more smiling faces across the breadth of grade levels that we have here in New Hartford. Some of the things that, again, drive our work, our mission statement, our kids being the first and foremost, are some of our goals that are located within our bylaws of what the Board of Education, some of the jobs that we have, some of the goals that we continue to strive towards, are providing exemplary curriculum that holds the highest expectations for student achievement. This is supported through our new EL education, through the support of improving our instruction, and here are our kids engaged in new literacy curriculum and new math curriculum as well, as some of the highlights. Another goal that the Board of Education has is to create and sustain an educational community responsive to the intellectual, social, and emotional needs of children. So this is supported by the investment in our new, let me flip to the next page. This is supported by reviewing student progress every single day. On a quarterly, we look at students on throughout the school year. We have very specific dedicated times to our MTSS process, but obviously, all of our educational experts are evaluating kids on a day-to-day basis. Even so much so that we're reiterating again those very important conditions of connecting with ourselves and our peers, such as being kind, to be the I in kind, taking care of others, and even some Mohawk specialists as well here for your viewing pleasure. Goal number 3, we want to encourage and assist all students to develop their fullest potential, and to be the initiators of their own learning. So here we see kiddos working together on a scientific experiment here, working on erosion and discovering what is exactly happening as water is running off of sand, for example. So this is just another example of providing so many opportunities for our kids to learn and explore at their levels and to encourage that thirst for knowledge. So with that in mind, our number one focus is our kids, what we want to provide for them, and it has to be the best, because that is exactly what New Hartford Public Schools endeavors to do. Some of the budget assumptions that are going to drive some of the decision making that we have going before us, and some things that we need to absolutely know about, are we have increased costs for employee health care. We have increased costs for transportation. These are not new. These are on a yearly basis. We talk about these. There's a decrease in excess cost grants. So at the state legislative level, I've informed the board before. I've even written to our legislators of that impact that has when those grants don't come in and they're decreased. And we also have increase in outplacements. So students that come to us from every walk of life, wherever they come from, and students that are with us currently, as their needs increase, and we have found that within LRE, or least restrictive environment, that we can no longer provide services here. It goes through the PPT process. It is made as a team decision to have students to be outplaced, but that is another driver of our budget. So let's take a look a little bit deeper into some of the other drivers of our budget. You'll see our employee salaries are listed here. Those are for all certified and contractual increases plus their step at $161,000. Our employee benefits, our insurance right now for the town and the Board of Education working within our consortium is approximately 11%, which calculates out to be about $153,000. A purchase service that the board has discussed in the past is for an armed security guard at Aero Security at a cost of $75,000. Under regular education, we have our Connecticut Junior Republic, which is a current program that we have now. Unfortunately, we do not have grant funding for this any longer, but this is a program that's provided to all students, regular ed or general ed, for every child, to help families to be able to engage in counseling supports within the school day, not outside of the school day. So it's very, very, very powerful program that we have currently going. Our improvement of instruction, as we talked about in part of our board goals, continuing our new literacy curriculum and rollout with professional development and materials. Previously, that was grant funded with the Right to Read grant. That is no longer the case at a cost of $23,000. For pupil transportation, our bus contracts for regular ed and special education is still out to bid. So we have requested proposals, and we are doing this collaboratively with Region 7. And pupil services, as I mentioned before, our outplacement tuition is up to $300,000, again, with students that need outplacement. Yes, sir. Okay. Is it one or two things? Oh, okay. Okay, my apologies. Okay, thank you. That was might have been an older version that was printed off earlier, so I'll make sure that, well, again, everything's provided online that's updated, but I will make sure that we have all the newest versions across the board. Thank you for making me aware of that. So here,
I have one question.
yes,
Did you say that the improvement of instruction, the 23,000, we had a grant for that, but it's not funded this year?
correct. Yeah.
Not coming into the new year, same thing with the Republic.
Yes, Connecticut Junior Republic.
So we were at 35 last year, 23 last year with grants developed.
Yeah, we had a grant that covered this and a grant that covered all of these.
Those are gone. We can't apply for anything else. We're done.
That is correct.
Okay, got it.
Or we have applied and were not awarded for the Connecticut Junior Republic grant, something that funded that grant, that we did not receive that. And this grant is gone. So the state of Connecticut provided $40,000 at the onset to begin to launch the new program for our schools. And now that that is over, now the expected contribution is the $23,000 for our consumables and other materials that we need to continue that work. On the other side of the coin, we have decreases. So these are the grants that are projected that we'll be receiving. I want to highlight that it's $434,000. That's approximately 4% of our budget, or $400,000. So without these grants, these are all included within the budget. You'll see them typically in red and their offsets. So these grants are extremely well received. We are extremely grateful to both federal government and to the Connecticut state government for all of the assistance that they provide to New Hartford Public Schools, but also across the state of Connecticut. So this is the breakdown of the grants that we receive on a yearly. And also another decrease that we have is applying our pre-K tuition against the salaries. And you'll see that later on within the budget presentation as well. This is a pie chart, again, just demonstrating where a majority of the monies are spent. This is a yearly repetitive portion that certified staff salaries take up the majority for both regular education and special education, followed up with employee benefits at 19.4% of our budget. So those are the top three main drivers: our contractual obligations and our healthcare that we provide to all of our staff and their families. As we dive a little bit deeper, and we're going to take a look now at our categories. If you would follow along with me, we're going to go into the actual proposed budget document. So we'll start on page number 9, 10, and 11. We'll start with regular education. I'll just go over some highlights under each one, some main drivers or some main changes. Okay, so the first one within our budget, if you guys would turn your attention to page number 11, you'll see here some of the more significant changes is under instructional assistance under 112. You'll see there that there was a reduction of $45,000. That's because our data system specialist was moved to the technology line, so we'll see that later reflected. That was through bargaining and through collective bargaining with our unions. That position was located there, and we've replaced that or moved that to our technology line. Under Connecticut Junior Republic, under 320, under purchase services, as I was mentioning, that $350 or that $35,000 is no longer grant funded. Purchase services also provides for our White Memorial field trip, DARE, and others, and that's located in the narrative on the pages beforehand. But those are just some of the highlights that I wanted to point out under regular education. If you turn the page over to page number 12, you'll see what I was just referring to a moment ago. For our textbooks and our resources, you'll see that the projected small town right to read grant is no longer available, because that was just to start up the programs for all of the school districts. So based on some of the calculations, and then again, getting quotes from our companies that we utilize, the cost difference there is about $25,000. But the language arts component for our new literacy curriculum is $23,000 out of that amount, again, without any offsets there. Turning over to special education, we could take a look over on page number 16. Looking specifically at tuitions, which is the largest driver under this category of outplacements. You'll see that there's a approximately $290,000 increase, and that's again to meet the needs of our most fragile and needy children that are not able to engage in public education here, that need either a more therapeutic setting or an alternative setting that again has been decided at the PPT process, through the PPT process. Continuing on, I'd like to direct our attention to page number 21 under health services. These lines represent all that we do to navigate viruses, colds, and keeping us all as healthy as possible. So a great kudos and shout out to all of our nurses at our 3 buildings in doing so, and some of the materials that they need to make sure that we are staying healthy. Under improvement of instruction on page number 23. Again, we could see there that the ARPA Right to Read grant under Professional Development 324 is no longer something that's available to us because that was available only previously. So we see an increase there in professional development under improvement of instruction. Moving on to page number 25, our library media specialist, Mr. Miltmore, I don't know how he does it, but he's in all 3 buildings, running 3 libraries, providing resources for all, and collaborating with all educators to provide the best for our kids, not just book recommendations. There's so much more to the Library Media Center and its curriculum and the collaboration that takes place for research projects, whether technologically or with written resources or electronic resources as well. So kudos to Mr. Miltmore in continuing our very proud Library Media Centers, which are little heartbeats of our school because it's a hub where kids are always at and engaging in research or conversations or even some of our STEM learning that Mr. Miltmore has engaged our students in. Moving on to page number 27, you'll see there under 112, our data system specialist has been moved from that other bargaining unit to here. So this is an individual that works under the guise of Mr. Paul Carmen, our technologies director, to provide data reporting and also all of our system structures, not just PowerSchool, for our entire district. And then from plant operations, we moved several contracts. So you'll see that because they were not really aligned. It became, plant operations was more of a catch-all for every single service that we had. And we wanted to really do a better job in cleaning up our budget and putting things, again, every year we do make some overhauls. So we moved the data managing licenses from the plant operations to technology where it really belongs. And the description of all those are listed on the narrative on the page before, on page number 26. Moving on to Board of Education on page number 30 as our next area or department or category. We'll see that there's an increase there for our legal fees of $15,000. Again, that is to protect our district, our interests, and our schools and all of our staff members and any decisions that need to be made, whether for any student or staff member, in consultation with our attorneys. On the next page, again, we'll see one of those on page 33, line number 320. Our professional technological services was moved, again, from plant services. It really was, again, just a catch-all. But these professional services are very specific to a district-wide function for central office. So those are to prepare, review, and submit the educational financial system, which is one of our auditing measures that we submit as a state report, and that we also work with the town's independent accountant to do so. So those are the charges that are accounted for there. Under school offices, it's strictly contractual increases on page number 35. And these are for our educational leaders sitting here in the room tonight. Thank you for being here. They evaluate staff, provide feedback, and I can't even continue to list all that they do. They're providing feedback to improve the practice of our educators, and they are educational experts as well. And they are always thinking of children first. That's their first and foremost. So I'm extremely impressed with them. They also foster a climate and culture of all the buildings that is positive and nurturing to our best interests for kids. And they do so much more. Also, our administrative assistants, our secretaries there, they are incredibly organized. They basically run the ship, not just answering phone calls. They're providing information to and from all of the time, either central office or parents that call in, or addressing any other needs that come into the schools. They're also our first smiley face that you'll see when you walk in. So very important first impression. So plan operations is our next area. And again, we took some of these items you'll see listed on pages number 38 and 39 and moved them to more succinct areas of where they belong. So you'll see there's strike throughs there, but we wanted to make sure that the dollar variance is still comparable from last year to this year. You'll see there that there's, again, many that are stricken through that have been moved to different areas. And plan operations essentially ensures that our schools are clean. The custodians are really instrumental for that they're gleaming, that they're safe. They are in charge of removing. God knows they've been here over the weekends to do that as well, and even the ice, to do their absolute best with that. So that's located on page number 38 and 39. Yep, pages 38 and 39. So I'm discussing plan operations. Some larger drivers there are under utilities, again, with the anticipated increase in electricity costs. That's one driver there. One other positive there is communications. Because of our Department of Justice grant, we've essentially eliminated our phone bills for the next 4 to 5 years. As you can see there, from a $14,000 cost yearly to about $1,000, which is a nice win there for us. But utility costs are not helping with that, unfortunately. At the bottom of page number 39, we'll see that fuel, right underneath fuel, you'll see postage. So postage and advertising were just sitting in a category all to its own. And we really felt that that was more of a district-wide function for plan operations. So we've moved them here just to consolidate our budget. And that's postage for all of our schools and central office, but also advertising for vacancies, for requests for proposals for the entire district. So that's why we've moved it under plan operations. Again, further level highlights that we have under employee benefits on page number 42. You'll see there the increase for medical and dental at approximately $153,000. Our pension fund for non-certified staff offered through the town is increased by $23,585. Unemployment compensation is a great highlight. It's dropped by $15,000, which is nice to report out. And our tuition reimbursement, instead of being under improvement for instruction, it really is an employee benefit. Our staff are encouraged to sign up for a program of studies to further their skill sets and professional degrees. So when they do so contractually, we have $10,000 every year that we award as reimbursement to our teachers for their credits that they take at universities for approved programs of study. So that's why that's been moved there. That was previously under the improvement of instruction. It just sat there, and the real benefit is to have it be something that teachers can access. So that's why it's under employee benefits instead.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
about the electricity?
Sure.
If and when we get those solar panels, then will we see a benefit in that line item so it would reduce our cost?
Yes.
Do you know about?
I don't.
I mean, it's not going to be this coming budget year.
Correct. Yeah. If I knew that now, I would obviously put it into the budget now, but without knowing that, that's the projected cost of what electricity will cost for us. That could be a potential area of savings going forward. But again, I made it clear that without having a very good deal for us to engage in, with the first selectman and myself agreeing to that, we're on pause and on hold until we feel like we've got a good deal for our town.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Under pupil transportation, again, because that's out to bid Right now, I'm not going to offer public comment. I want to continue to make sure that we leverage our negotiating power on that. We are out to bid with Region 7 on that. Hope to have more information on that before the end of the budget cycle so that we could have more hard numbers in this particular area. But until then, I'm not going to comment. And then communications, as I just stated, you'll see that has been moved over to plant operations instead of being a category all on its own. Wrapping up at the end of the budget, you'll see a couple pages which I'll refer back to. They're also located in our presentation. So for our capital requests, which have been reviewed, and we did this with a very strict mindset on the fact that our operating costs were going to be greater. So we tried to significantly decrease this and ask for the bare minimum for our capital requests. We have a Board of Education minivan that is currently rusted, has had significant issues, and is not very conducive to driving. This Board of Ed minivan travels our mail from our schools to central office all of the time for postage. It also retrieves equipment from outplacement facilities and back to us, or from school to school and central office as equipment is needed. So our custodians use the minivan for those purposes. I had presented this to the Board of Finance under our 5-year capital plan already. Our indoor air quality is to continue to maintain that and make sure that we're compliant. And our technology is to continue our refresh process every single year for our incoming kindergartners, as well as Promethean boards. So these reach end of cycle. Paul Carmen and I meet and discuss that all of the time. We go through approximately 3 or 4 Promethean boards a year. We attempt to replace them, especially because they're out of life cycle or out of support. And the same with our student Chromebooks. Our students they receive Chromebooks as kindergartners, and they travel with them all the way to 6th grade. By that time, 7 years later, they're out of service, and there are obviously newer technologies available. So then that's part of our refresh process. Thank you. Reviewing our 5-year capital plan as well, which we reviewed again with the Board of Finance earlier, and we've obviously had it here at the Board of Ed. Just want to quickly review this. It again reiterates this year's requests with projected years going out. And this again is a fluid document. As priorities or other things come about, we have to adjust and make sure that we are providing what we need to for large capital projects. Very thankful to the Board of Finance and the Board of Education for continuing to support what we need that are larger projects for our schools. All right, if I could rewind a little bit and bring everyone's attention back here. So the total request is $871,145.55 as it stands right now. That is subject to change as we go through our entire process, or an 8.86 budget increase request. So other good news to share with the Board of Education and with our entire town is that educational cost share is the amount of monies. There's a formula. I could go into more detail at a completely different time, but there's a formula at the state level that has been tried several times to be corrected. And our legislature continues to work through this, but just a quick little snapshot. This is the amount of money that the state of Connecticut provides our town, if you want to think of it as a reimbursement. So every year, about 3% of our budget is covered by this. So educational cost share in the past, 1920, you could see that we had 2 years where we lost money, again, according to their formula. And then we were held harmless for the next 3 years, meaning we didn't receive any. We also didn't lose any. So we've been stuck at $2.9 million that is sent to the town from the state of Connecticut to help with the cost of education. So if the cost was $10 million, 2.9 would be coming back to offset the cost of those of that $10 million. So good news in this current year that we're in right now, we are receiving an extra $5,193. Anything is better than nothing. And right now, as it stands in 2025-26, with the governor's proposed biannual budget, New Hartford Public Schools give an extra almost $100,000 for our educational cost share that the state of Connecticut provides for all education here in New Hartford, which is great news. Just visiting back. Oh, did someone have a question? Yes, Deirdre.
Can you go back to that 96,000?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not reflected in your numbers, right?
No, no, it's not a
That's an added benefit
Yep, and that's town. So a grant that offsets, this is just giving more, put forth our
Jeff, for the armed security, shouldn't there be an offset on that for, yeah, I'm on, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Shouldn't there be an offset on that for the money that we had set aside?
So that would be if the position were.
And then,
Thank you. I might have been muted. I apologize. So I'm with you on class sizes, and then it tailed off because I was on mute.
so just looking again, our projected enrollment is down 10.
Correct. Yep. And if you look at 24, 25, the projection at the time was 428. We ended up with 433. They're best guess scenarios based on birth rates. And I could tell you next year that will be increased significantly because all the COVID babies, there's 66 that were born that are going to be coming through the system. So there'll be another large bubble. Yeah. Yeah. So 25, 26, that's what we're looking like. 418 is a guess. It's an estimate, just like everything, really is in the budget because things happen all year long that you can never anticipate or project. But that 418, I would guess, would be over 420 pretty easily. We typically get about half a dozen kids that move into town over the summertime. It's been a consistent trend. Okay. There are no.
Any questions from the board? Again, content, format, everybody will have a clear understanding of how to read the budget and prepared to submit whatever questions you have prior to Friday or on Friday if possible. That way I can compile them over the weekend and get them to Jeff so he can work on them on Sunday.
I will. He knows. He knows that's what I'll be doing. Church and then work. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for your attention. I appreciate it.
I have kind of a new board member question.
Absolutely.
So you have the capital budget, which is separate from this budget.
Yep.
And how does it get decided whether it's capital or like plant operations?
I'll let,
Yeah, typically the threshold is around $10,000 or greater. And if we know that that's a cost that can be fulfilled through the capital project, that's what I've been advised to do so going forward from when I started working here as a superintendent.
and I think we also look at it as maintenance-related items wouldn't fall into capital, right? So capital would be, again, new purchases or large, as Jeff just described, large replacements or repairs that are required. Any other questions for now? Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is Board of Education Chairs Report. I do not have anything for tonight. Moving on to routine business, we have the approval of the minutes for the February 4th, 2025 meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the February 4th.
February 4th, yeah.
I'll second.
Moved by Penny, seconded by Frank. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. All right, next item is the expenditure report. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure report.
Motion by Penny. Do we have a second? Second by Deirdre. Any discussion on the expenditure report? The other question I have, Jeff, and I actually should have asked for it when we were in here. Any closer to the finalized audit? Did we get any information from the auditors at this point for?
No, they asked for some clarification just recently. So we had worked with one of the individuals at King & King. We clarified something that they had brought up to our attention, just the way that funds were reclassified. It had never been a problem prior to. So we adjusted that and resubmitted our component for the entire town's budget, the entire town's audit, I should say. So awaiting finalization, and I believe that they would present next to the Board of Finance, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
So it's in progress, which is good. Good. Excellent. Are there any other questions on the expenditure report? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Okay, we have no new business for tonight. Moving on to old business, we have some second reads of policies.
Ready?
Ready?
Okay. So the first one is policy 92, whoops, sorry. The first one is policy 9274, bylaws of the board member code of conduct. We went over this at the last meeting. So this is just a second read. Any questions? Comments?
There are no questions or comments. Can we get a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Motion by Tim, a second. Second. Second by Eric. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is unanimous.
Next one is policy 9273, bylaws of the board, conflict of interest. Again, the only changes were that we added New Hartford where there used to be a blank space, or probably X's, to reflect our schools and our Board of Education. Any questions, comments?
Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve them.
Motion by Penny,
I'll second.
second by Frank. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is unanimous.
And the final one is policy 6163.3, instruction, live animals in the classroom. It was regarding service animals in school, what is permitted, what is not permitted. Any questions or concerns or comments about live animals in school, like dogs and not horses?
I have not reconsidered. No, thank you.
Our policy does state no miniature horses, please. Nor snakes, nor ants,
Can
spiders.
I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Deirdre,
Second.
second by Frank. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments regarding the type of animals we're allowing in school? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. That concludes our old business. Next item is public comment for agenda items only. Would anybody like to address the board? Going once, going twice? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
You-
Can we get a copy of the updated budget, or do you want us to print it off from online?
No, I will take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Most up to date, not draft, some draft and some not. Apologize.
That was my own.
Tim, I know this might be out of order, but I have just a quick question.
Sure,
Can I ask?
yeah, before we adjourn.
It's related to the negotiations on transportation. Have we ever done a bus audit to examine use and efficiency of the buses? Because sometimes I'll look and I'll not see many kids on it.
Yeah, that's part of our RFP. If we want to take a look at it online, it's a very lengthy document, but we've done the audit so that we're asking for specifically what we feel is needed. So it would be a reduction, but that's online publicly, so I could state that.
And again, just to remind the board, when we talk specifically about bus transportation, several years ago, there was a subcommittee and the board approved, we actually paid a higher yearly rate for several years so that we could align our negotiations with Region 7, so we had more buying power. So this is now going to tell us, I guess, whether that was a good move or a bad move, right? But again, aligning ourselves with Region 7 gives us, again, the ability to, if it's DATCO again, which again, we hope it is DATCO again, but they've done a nice job for us. But again, we can align those and get more buying power by using all the schools in the district here in New Hartford as well as Region 7. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn at, time is it 7:57?
So moved.
Moved by Penny. Second. By Tim. All those in favor? Thank you.
You could also be just on the buses for X amount of minutes. No, you can't, the little kids can't be on the buses too awfully long. And that was part of the agreement. That's why sometimes you only have one or two kids.
I think ours is 1 hour, if I recall.